What's going on, everybody? I'm sorry for the long hiatus for whoever cares, whoever watches this podcast, but not gonna lie, I had to get a little recovery in there because UFC 276 kind of drained my battery a little bit there because I was looking forward to it, hyping it up a crap ton, the trilogy, and sometimes things just don't go our way, and also sometimes the main card starts off with an eye poke that scratches a fight that gets the whole that has got the whole entire UFC community like jazzed up. Every time Sean O'Malley comes into fight, you want to see him get a finish. Every time Pedro Munoz fights, he's an absolute killer. So, and then to see one of my favorite fighters not win a single round hurts. And Max is still the man, okay? And I got to give it to Alexander Volkanovski, but we'll get to all these topics later, okay? But UFC 276 was solid. The prelims were good, but it wasn't all that exciting to watch all the time, okay? We had some good predictions with the Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz is an absolute killer. I'll talk about him a little bit. I tried to put together a little bit of a fun show that will encapsulate everything that is kind of transpired and is going to happen because the Ortega versus Yair fight card is... I'm really pumped for that one, but I'm not going to get too excited, okay? Because last time I got too excited for a fight card on UFC 276, I got disappointed. But I guess some of the things that I want to start out with are the fact that I don't want to go back too far. It sucks really bad. But can we quickly go over the 3 people that I just thought really impressed, okay? 4 people, actually, all right? Ian Gary, absolute killer, making huge strides. I was wrong to think that Gabe Green could take him out, okay? But Ian Gary, he was, as he posted on his Instagram, he was in absolute flow state. He did eat a couple big shots from Gabe Green. Gabe Green just such a big physical presence, but Ian Gary, he's becoming I've started to like him more and more, just like with his counterpart Conor McGregor, the other Irishman. Didn't really like Conor McGregor all at first, but kind of, and same with Michael Chandler. He kind of just, after putting on good performance after good performance, he grows on you a little bit. And then, so yeah, Ian Gary, absolute killer. And obviously Jalen Turner, that also is a big contributor into what ruined the party for me. I love Jalen Turner. I love the run that he's on or whatever, but I just expected a lot more than 40 seconds of a fight there, okay? I expected Brad Riddell to go longer than one round. It was 45 seconds. And so that kind of just lifted it into the main card because that's all on Jalen Turner. He's an absolute killer. Ended Brad Riddell really quick, but yeah. And then Brian Barberena, though, absolute killer. Him and Robbie Lawler threw freaking down. That's going to go down as one of my favorite fights of the entire year. Brian Barberena, he just puts on my favorite fights. Him versus Jason Witt was insane. Him versus Robbie Lawler, obviously incredible. Brian Barberena threw absolute video game numbers. What do you have, like almost 200 strikes thrown after like the first round? His combinations are absolutely endless. It seemed like he was throwing punches for the entire first round. He's a killer. Alex Pereira, was not expecting that. We're just doing a quick rundown of UFC 276, I guess. And Alexander Volkanovski, didn't expect him to win all 5 rounds against Maxi, and Jared Cannonier did surprisingly well against Israel Adesanya. I was expecting Jared to maybe land a big shot or something, shake up the world a little bit, but Israel, he did his thing, okay? And yeah, those are the main things that I really want to talk about here. But like Andre Muniz, that was the kind of the main prediction. I said, watch out for Andre Muniz, and he did exactly that. He took care of Uriah Hall, made Uriah Hall basically want to quit after the first round because he seemed absolutely exhausted. And Andre was looking for that submission. He couldn't get it. But I wanted to add it to my list of things. I do want to talk about what's next for Andre Muniz because it's really looking like my prediction for him is right because everything is all jacked up now. With Sean Strickland, the number 4 middleweight in the world or whatever he was, losing to an unranked cat in Alex Pereira, who is probably the only man on planet Earth that can legitimately stop Israel Adesanya at 185 pounds on the feet. It's just absolutely insane that he put Sean Strickland's lights out, dude. But that just goes to show the UFC. It's becoming a sick thing here because it's like, dude, all you got to do is if you're putting together impressive performances like Khamzat Chimaev, making your opposition look like absolute nothing, and you got dominant champions like we do now, you just skyrocket up the absolute rankings, and it's gonna be really fun because they're gonna get guys. I honestly God believe there's gonna be fluctuation in between fight promotions, and especially with the growing talent, there's going to be more fight promotions. I don't know. I think the UFC is going to be up there. They're going to be the main juice for the foreseeable future, but it's going to be interesting to see potential crossover over fights between promotions, and it's also going to be fun to see guys fast rising, because there's going to be dudes like we've seen that just enter the UFC and obliterate their competition, i.e. Maladino or whatever. So yes, let's get into this. What do we want to talk about first? Should we go back to Rafael Fiziev's fight card, since we already kind of went over UFC 276? I had to talk about it because there was some significant key takeaways to take from it, and we'll talk about Alexander Volkanovski and if anybody can get on his level later, and we'll talk about my favorite champions, because I've been absolutely insane, and I've been watching the Charles Oliveira, because Alexander Volkanovski and Israel Adesanya, they're so unbelievably good and exciting, but it's like there's something about an exciting champion that just puts butts in the seats, and like, I don't know, dude. Charles Oliveira is the absolute man, and it's just I almost take for granted really exciting championship fights, because you forget that a lot of times when two really good guys are going after each other, because we've been really spoiled. We've had Charles Oliveira fight, we had the Glover Teixeira versus Hiro Prochazka fight, so you just kind of forget that sometimes when you have two really good guys, a lot of their skills kind of nullify one another, and you don't always get these firecrackers all the time, and you just gotta level yourself a little bit. But I guess to go to the Fiziev card, I missed some fights, which was kind of a blessing in disguise. This is my second take at this, okay, because my camera fell down, so I'm sorry if I repeat something, but I did catch the David Onama, the Kenny Nchekwu fight, and the Saidyokub Kakhramonov fight. And to just, I guess, kick off my key takeaways really quickly, and the things that I could not go without talking about, is I was really pumped to see this, because I'm going to take a little bit of credit here. Obviously, other people knew about these guys before they came into the UFC, but David Onama, when he came into the UFC against Mason Jones, his UFC debut on short notice, he absolutely made a fan out of me. And then he got a knockout in his second dub. Was that against Gabriel Benitez? Yeah, Gabriel Benitez. And then Garrett Armfield comes in here and I think he did fine the first round, and then David Onama ended up running away with it, and getting that arm triangle, because he's just so unbelievably imposing at 145 pounds. And I'm sorry. Why am I in the back of my mind? I'm trying to think of the dude. He's literally one of my favorite fighters, and I am totally spacing on his name right now. When I said Maladino, dude, what is his name, bro? Maladino UFC. I'm so sorry for this. Oh, Jonathan Almeida. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now that I have that out of the way, freaking OCD here, dude. It was like when I was talking about dudes that just rise into the UFC, it's Jonathan Almeida, who's an absolute killer. Like when he just comes into the UFC and just obliterates all of his competition, you're gonna get more guys like that. They're like in their prime, 31. They don't waste their time, their young years. They don't waste their young part of their career developing. They just come right into UFC and show off. But anyways, that's besides the point. David Onama, we have to take a little bit of credit here, because we had some cats that we made videos about a long time ago, and David Onama is one of them, and he is the guy to watch out for. I don't even know what you do with him next, because it seems like he goes into fights and gets relatively undamaged. So depending on how often he wants to fight, he can't fight whenever he wants to, obviously, because he doesn't take a lot of damage at all. He seems to control distance really well, and his grappling is insane. And when other guys try to take him down, he gets backed up to his feet so easily, and that's just is what's going to separate him against other guys. It's like other dudes that are kind of one-dimensional. He can just do it all, and he's got one-punch knockout power, and he obviously just showed, in his last 3 performances, he's shown every single facet of his game. He can stand up with you and bang. If you want to change levels, he'll get back up to his feet. He can take you down, and if you want to take him down, if you want to take that risk, he can definitely sink into submission, or he'll take you down and sink in submission. So he's just all around just absolutely insane. But I'm going to say this right now, kind of was one of the first guys to hop on that David Onama hype train. We have some exciting 145ers that are going to be fighting on the Ortega versus Yair card, but we'll talk I don't even know what you do with David Onama. But next one, swipe right. Saidyokub Kakhramonov, though, against Ronnie Lawrence. Ronnie Lawrence, who has beat dudes. His last fight, he did get clipped against Mana Martinez, but I mean, this dude is an absolute killer, and he's pretty much known for grappling and taking guys down and kind of destroying them. And what did Saidyokub Kakhramonov do? The dude that came into the UFC and beat Trevin 5-Star Jones, who I'm pretty sure came into the UFC, and Trevin Jones, he knocked out an absolute stud in Mario Bautista, right? Yeah. And we saw what Mario Bautista did to, what was it, Brian Boom Kelleher? So I'm just saying, Saidyokub Kakhramonov, I know that I have had, there's bantamweight, 135-pound division goes down forever. I mean, there's so many guys there, but Saidyokub Kakhramonov, the way that his pace was absolutely insane for that. For that whole, I don't know how many takedowns he had. Did he touch double digits? I don't know how many takedowns he had, but he kept taking down Ronnie Lawrence, and it got to the point where I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. He's legit ragdolling one of the most promising prospects in the division. And after watching a guy like Umar Nurmagomedov fight, it's like, oh shit. Saidyokub Kakhramonov, get to know this guy's name, because when Umar Nurmagomedov and those guys get up to the top, and especially when you have guys like Aljamain Sterling, how are you going to beat them? The only way to beat them is just to have high-level grappling exchanges and just be a threat and just be strong as hell. And Saidyokub Kakhramonov, he's got to have some of the best conditioning, because he just kept going after takedown after takedown. And when it wasn't there, and like legit, when like technique wasn't, when a perfect takedown wasn't there for him, it seemed like he just manhandled him and got him to the ground, you know, and his trips were good. And then on top of all of this, though, he can find the target, which is, speaking of finding the target, we'll talk about another fight later, but I was just insanely impressed with Saidyokub Kakhramonov. And I know one other guy, and I was actually looking on MMA ranking, this website, MMA World Rankings. Guess who they have lined up with one another? I'm pretty sure they have, is it Saidyokub Kakhramonov at like 39 on their rankings? These are obviously like unofficial. Yeah, they have Saidyokub Kakhramonov at 39. Guess who they have at 38, and who I was like, this would be an absolute banger of a fight? Javid Basharat, my other guy that I think is the best find that we've had so far in the UFC, even though he hasn't, he's only fought once in the UFC. I think Javid Basharat versus Saidyokub Kakhramonov is the fight to make. There's obviously other ones. Like, I really like the Sergey Morozov fight, just because they're both they're good on the feet, but they also like to change levels. But after watching Saidyokub Kakhramonov, I would love to see a fight against Javid Basharat, who's a legit striker and also is good everywhere, because I believe that these guys, low-key, outside maybe the top 15, have one of the best opportunities to make some serious rise. Because after watching like Umar Nurmagomedov, like I said, these cats have all the skills, and I think that but there's two ways to think about it. It's like, you get this fight, and it's like, okay, whoever wins this fight, you can tell who's an absolute beast, but it's also tough because you kind of almost want to separate these two guys. It's almost like the Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan kind of theory, where it's like, you don't want these two guys to clash now because you don't want to knock anybody back. You can just both propel them at the same time. But I really think it would be a great matchup, because it'd be a really tough test for Saidyokub, and it'd be a really tough test. I think it would be more, I would honestly, after this last performance, I'm low-key, I'm almost going to favorite Saidyokub Kakhramonov over anybody he faces after this last performance against Ronnie Lawrence. It was legit. And that was kind of those are my massive takeaways. And then also, we had a fight of the freaking year against Jamie Mullarkey versus Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson for Jamie Mullarkey is absolute killer. Like, the lightweight division is so great with Michael Johnson fighting the way he is right now, because he's so unbelievably exciting. It doesn't matter who you match him up with. His left hand, his hand speed is unrivaled in the lightweight division. And then Jamie Mullarkey, like we've talked about when we were ranking our tier list, this cat, I know it was a little bit a sketchy decision and stuff, but like, I could see how you could give it Michael Johnson 1 and 3, but also at the end, you can't just, even though Jamie Mullarkey did get knocked down, you can't just throw away the fact that Jamie got the last say in the first round and he stunned Michael Johnson really badly. But it's not necessarily a robbery. This is one of those firsts where you look in the comments and you know how you're really emotional and you're like, man, I really thought somebody won, and then you see somebody in the comments say it's not a robbery when it's this close, and it makes you really mad. I'm actually on the other side of this argument for once in my life, and it's kind of nice, but it is what it is. Like, Michael Johnson's, he's gonna be back, and he's people are gonna be all low-key lining up to fight him because he's a really fun style. And I guess that just kind of brings me to my next point that I kind of put on here is I came up with the main event. Even this isn't my brainchild. Other people have thought of this, but I thought of it myself, but I looked it up, and other people have obviously thought of making this fight. But this is the main event that you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. And the UFC 100% needs to reward Bobby King Green for taking that fight against Islam Makhachev. And the way you do it is you line him up with another guy that likes to box, likes to scrap, likes to talk shit, and both of them kind of like to wrestle a little bit. So let's just go Bobby King Green versus Michael Johnson, the main event that you didn't know you needed, but after hearing it out loud, like, nobody's not going to watch this fight. It's guaranteed 50 G's on either side. The way that these guys just swang. I mean, Jamie Malarkey is the perfect dance partner for a guy like Michael Johnson, but Bobby King Green, he's going to stay on the outside, pop his jab, but he's not afraid to get in there and move his head a little bit and just start swinging. So even though he is technical, he loves a big dance partner, and he's been really open about how he doesn't want to fight guys like Islam Makhachev. He wants a good fights that people are going to be tuning into. He doesn't want to necessarily make it all, like, obviously everybody's goal is to become a champ and stuff, but sometimes you just want to take those fun fights where, like Jamie Malarkey said at the end, where you look at the other guy and you're like, this is mutual agreement, we're just going to throw down. And I think that is the fight to make. I would be so pumped to see that fight. Stick that sucker on a main card. You could even make like on a pay-per-view, you could stick that sucker on a pay-per-view, but why do that when you could carry an entire card with Bobby King Green? Bobby is a star, and Michael Johnson is fighting out of his mind right now. So I think that is the thing to do. So we kind of covered. We got Saidyokub, absolute killer. Onama, killer. And yeah, Michael Johnson for Jamie Malarkey was freaking insanity. I guess the last thing is RDA versus Fiziev. Watch highlights and stuff of this fight. I haven't watched the entire thing, I'm going to be honest with you right now, but I kind of got the gist of it. Rafael's stuff and takedowns he got took down like twice in the fight, and he caught him. It was a little bit of an early stoppage, maybe, but Rafael seemed to hit the deck pretty hard. Rafael hit the deck hard. It was the battle of the Rafael versus Rafael. But I was kind of sad I didn't get to talk about this just because Rafael Fiziev is an absolute stud, but I really do, because of his takedown defense, man. He's a player. He's a player 155 with. It's no doubt. Obviously, this is Captain Obvious Kellan speaking here, but I don't know who they're going to match him up with next. Obviously, Kellan got called out because Kellan didn't understand that. I'm not afraid to admit when I was wrong. I didn't understand that Arman Tsarukyan and Rafael Fiziev were teammates, so that obviously is not going to freaking happen anytime soon. But what could happen is Rafael Fiziev versus Michael Chandler. Could you imagine that fireworks show? Because everything Michael Chandler's everything Michael Chandler touches turns into gold. That would be a fantastic fight. And I guess since we're kind of on the topic though, like, no, we can't do this, Kellan. Kellan is absolutely obsessed with Charles Oliveira and has watched. Literally 2 nights ago. I'm pretty sure. No. Yeah, it was like 2 days ago. I rewatched the Michael Chandler fight, the Dustin Poirier fight, and the Justin Gaethje fight. Nothing gets better than Charles Oliveira fighting. In the Justin Gaethje fight, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil this right now, but when I make my award show, it's going to be Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. The amount of action that transpired in about, 3 minutes-ish was more than a lot of fights have in their entirety of 15 minutes or 25 minutes. So, yeah. I guess a good way to transition into this is, I guess since we've been talking about Volk and I'm on the topic of Charles Oliveira, I guess I'm kind of interested in right now, pretend like I'm talking to you right now. Who are your guys' favorite, most exciting UFC champs right now? Because I was kind of on the topic of this because it's like Israel Adesanya is taking a lot of flack here, okay? Because he doesn't seem to be the same guy that we saw against the Kelvin Gastelum, and like, I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be really taking the initiative to finish fights. And you know what? Who am I to judge? I'm not even stepping in that octagon or whatever, but it's like the last few fights kind of boring to watch. I'm just going to call it how it is. Same with Alexander Volkanovski. But that's different. He's been so dominant. I mean, obviously Izzy has too, but it just kind of made me think about what champs get me the most excited. And I was just deciphering on number, like I was just going to do my top 3 and rattle yours off right now. And even if you're watching this, comment on it. But like, I think number 3, you gotta go, as weird as it is, don't you have to go Kamaru Usman? Because when you think about it at the end of the day, the man's has been finishing people and cracking guys and getting knockdowns. And that's fun. And the fights that he's been in are exciting. I mean, the way he took out Jorge Masvidal, he obviously took out Gilbert Burns, and then the way he knocked down and seems to keep Colby Covington in place and keep Colby Covington in 1B, in terms of best welterweights in the world, I think that's pretty impressive. And then obviously honorable mention, Francis Ngannou. Every time he touches someone, he goes out. But like, I don't know. I just feel like pound for pound, every time Kamaru Usman goes out, it's a show. And because his boxing and his stand-up has got so good. And then number 2, I'm definitely going to have to go with Jiri Prochazka on this one. Just because he's absolutely insane on the feet and his style is so much fun to watch. And every time he gets taken down, he'll find a way back up to his feet. Obviously, like we saw in Glover, he finds submissions, and then he has knockout power, and he throws spinning techniques, which is always so fun. And then number 1, I always have to go Charles Oliveira right now, pound for pound, the best in the world. Most exciting pay-per-view guy. And I don't know what you do with him next, dude. I'm getting so off top here because literally 3 weeks behind. I'm like 2 weeks behind and then looking 1 week forward. But I just can't not talk about Charles Oliveira, especially given the fact that we saw Alexander Volkanovski come in here and just put it on the man that I said could beat Charles Oliveira. I'm going to take that one. Take that one right on the chin, okay? Because that just ruined that whole video. Because the man that I thought could beat Charles Oliveira just got dismantled. So, Volk versus Charles Oliveira, what happens here? And I guess this is the topic that is very interesting to me. Okay, let's just put this out there. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje obviously have all lost. What did they try to do? And what is one thing that we have figured out? It's that power does not take out Charles Oliveira. The only way to beat him right now is a 5-round grapple fest and volume. And that's why I thought Max Holloway had a good shot, because he has the gas tank to ride with him. And I guess maybe I thought that Max could potentially stuff some takedowns, scramble back up to his feet, maybe get to some advantageous parts on the ground, or positions on the ground. And I don't think it is out of the realm of possibility for Alexander Volkanovski to beat Charles do Bronx Oliveira, just given the fact that he's able to just sustain an awesome pace for 5 rounds. And if you want to take him down, it's going to be tough because he's such a fire plug. And if he wants to take you down, he kind of has the ability. If he kind of has the ability to, just because he's so strong and he trains with absolute killers like Israel Adesanya and Brad Riddell. So, yes, 1 second. My bad. Sorry. I thought someone was home. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so I think Alexander Volkanovski, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that he beats Charles do Bronx Oliveira. And what Charles does next, does he fight Islam Makhachev? It's just going to throw a whole wrench in things if Alexander Volkanovski, because what a slap in the face. That he's going to be the absolute GOAT of all time. If he becomes the double champ, that's just a slap in everybody's face, even including mine, because I thought that there was no way he's going to get past Max again. But yeah. And then I guess even to train, I guess we're just going into segues here, okay? Just perfect segues. And that's obviously Alexander Volkanovski does not feel like anybody can really challenge him at 145 pounds. And that is valid right now, especially after beating Max. But Charles Oliveira, that's a tough task. And we have 2 absolute killers going at it. And I saw an interesting thing. Can the winner of one of these fights leapfrog Josh Emmett? And I think that's a completely plausible thing just because of how close the Calvin Kattar fight was. If Yair Rodriguez goes in there and takes off Brian Ortega's noggin with a spinning technique, give that man the next title shot. Because, or interim title shot with Josh Emmett, I don't care. I guess if there's one dude that can land a shot to end the Volk party, I guess it's Yair, because we saw him crack Holloway with some massive blows, and Max obviously has a granite chin. He's never going to go away. But I guess if there's one dude that can get the job done, it's got to be Yair. And one of my segments was, can any 145ers get on Volk's level? And if there's a young enough guy to do that, I'm not going to ever count out Max Holloway. Max Holloway is always going to be in that combo. But Yair Rodriguez, he's only 29. And we saw him grow leaps and bounds in that fight. That fight was more competitive than people expected it to be against Max Holloway. And watching the entire thing, I was like, Jesus, besides Max like controlling Yair on the ground for like a round or so, it was really competitive on the feet. And if Yair can just keep it there and maybe use his jiu-jitsu a little bit, it could just be a really interesting battle. And yeah, obviously we're looking, when we're looking at the grand scheme of things, Alexander Volkanovski, he's not going to be here for much longer. I don't know. I really don't believe he's going to be here for like the Ilia Toporias and Christ. I don't even know if he's going to be there for a Movsar Evloev kind of guy. Do you think that he'll be there for when those guys make it to top? Because in reality, they're only like 2, maybe 3 fights away. I feel like Alexander's going to get to that point where he's just going to go. If he keeps winning, he's going to legit go Conor McGregor mode. Like, I know that's absolutely insane to say, but he's going to fight at 155. He's going to take big money fights. I don't know if he's going to be fighting these young, hungry guys, but I can see him doing it just because he's such a freaking competitor. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he's still there, because there are obviously guys that can come in there, like Arnold Allen. I don't know if Arnold Allen could beat him, but there are some dudes that are definitely interesting tests, and I just don't know if Alex is still going to be there for when that happens. Yair, I think he's the only guy at 145 that could maybe dethrone the champ, but it's not looking very promising. The only way to beat Alexander Volkanovski is for him to go up in weight and have Charles beat him. Yeah, and Charles still has to get through all those monsters. So, yeah. Yeah, baby. So, I guess let's just get into this Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez fight card, because there are some absolute money fights on here, and I'll just give my quick picks, okay? The main fight to watch out for, in my opinion, I know this is absolutely insanity, but you got to go Shane Burgos versus Charles Jourdain, because I've been waiting for Charles Jourdain to fight, because he was supposed to fight, wasn't he supposed to fight Ilia Topuria? Yeah, he was supposed to fight Ilia Topuria. That got canceled. He ended up beating Lando Venata, and now we get that Shane Burgos fight, and every time Shane Burgos fights, it's $50K written all over it. And before the fight with Andre Ewell, I could say I was a fan of Charles Jourdain, but he's just different now. We literally saw a guy level up to God tier mode in one fight. Like, a lot of guys, they'll like progress and stuff, but we literally saw a dude take one of the most massive leaps in front of our eyes, and I think we're taking it for granted. Like, if Charles Jourdain can get a dub over Shane Burgos, his career is just going to skyrocket, because the dude is one of the most exciting guys to watch in the UFC, and I feel like a lot of people don't know him yet, and this fight is going to put him on the map, and I'm just so pumped for it to happen, because everything Shane Burgos is in is crazy, and Charles Jourdain, he's the perfect dance partner for Shane Burgos. Just like Billy Quarantillo was for Shane Burgos, this fight is going to be insane. This main card all around, though, dude, you got Michelle Waterston versus one of my favorite fighters, Amanda Lemos, the hardest hitting 115er on planet freaking Earth, who looked so good. Let's not even forget how good she looked against Jessica Andrade. Like, Amanda Lemos, like I said after this fight that she had, she was she was looking fantastic and just got caught. It's one of those fights where it's don't hang your head after that. You just didn't get lucky there. You got caught, and she was marching forward, looked so good. And Michelle Waterson, good luck with Amanda Lemos, dude. I like the karate hottie, but this is going to be a fun fight. And I could not ask for a more fun co-main. If there is any woman, low-key, on the whole UFC roster that is more deserving of like a main event or co-main spot, it's Amanda Lemos. She's legit must-watch TV every single time. I love watching her fight. And then Li Jingliang versus Muslim Salikov, killer fight. Muslim Salikov, all I have to say on this is, dude, this is the only cat that has taken out Francisco Trinaldo in a while, and that's all I gotta say. Francisco Trinaldo is one of the most insane ageless wonders you have ever seen. And then Li Jingliang, I don't think he's fought since the Hamzat fight, but that's gonna be an absolute cracker for sure. And then Matt Highway 2 Schnell versus Sumudar. Sue finally gets a fight. Matt Schnell, I think he lost to Brandon Royval his last time. This is going to be an absolute slinger because Sumudar to the Tibetan Eagle. I've been dying to see his left hand since last year, dude. He can put anybody's lights out, and Matt Schnell, his boxing is so clean. So that's going to be sick as hell. Punahele versus Doc Lujanbula. It's going to be sick. And then not even to mention like Ricky Simone versus Jack Shores on this card. It's going to be crazy. Bill Algeo is a freaking killer versus Herbert Burns. Dustin Jacoby, who is legit one of the best strikers in the 205-pound division versus Dao Zhang, who can put your lights out with one punch. Top to bottom, dude. This thing is absolutely stacked. But I guess really quick picks. I'm going to go Jessica Penne, Dustin Stoltzfus, Dustin Jacoby, Bill Algeo, Ricky Simone, Punahele. I'm going Lauren Murphy. That's a tough one. I'll go Lauren Murphy on that one. I'm going Charles Jourdain, upset. I'm going Sumu Darji. I'm going Muslim Salikov. I'm going Amanda Lemos. And then I'm going to go Yair Rodriguez. Those are my final picks. It's going to be sick. Sick card, dude. But the performance of the night, it's got to go. I think it's going to go to Charles Jourdain. This is going to be one of the best cards of the year. Thank you guys for listening. I know this wasn't like the most exhilarating one. I had to take a break from after UFC 276, like I said. But I think that we kind of hit on some interesting topics here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And hopefully I get one in on Saturday, but I don't know. Bye-bye.